All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Tuesday, post Traders Talk edition, as always, every Tuesday, but Tuesday afternoon, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check, just like Chuck and Pat and Mike already did. You folks can hear me loud and clear. Perfect. All right, so great to see Norman, Stephen as well. Stephen's asking, will the 2:30 meeting occur here? Stephen, I hope you could hear me, and I'm going to write to Stephen actually right now if he can, because that wouldn't really make much sense. So let me just message us here inside the trading room. If you can't hear me, just do a quick log out, log back in. For all of us in social media, I see a bunch of us joining us today on YouTube and Facebook Live. Welcome on back as always. All right, Stephen, I believe, is good to go. Perfect. All right, so with that said, wow, we've had a pretty interesting morning. Much like yesterday, not as much with direction within the Dow. You could see it's been like a roller coaster day across the Dow, down and up and down and up and down, and now back up, trying to push up towards the highs. But with that in mind, we absolutely killed it today. Actually, right now, this stock MEDS, this was a big bust from this morning. Rightfully so, it made the morning watch list, right? So I actually bring to us a quartet of news here. So I'm going to copy and paste. Give me a quick moment. So very quickly to begin, MEDS, what they ended up doing was they ended up filing, I think, an 8K back on Monday, entered into a solution marketing program agreement with Amazon.com services to promote Amazon storage lockers. That's the news out early this morning on this MEDS trade. So with that, hey, we ended up seeing an extremely big push in pre-market. And from there, well, much like a lot of these stocks do at 9:30, they end up dumping off. So it took a long while to see the gears, turning on this trade. Ended up breaking over resistance just now off of 6, flew up just almost towards 8. And then obviously here comes the dump back down once again. So history has a tendency to repeat itself here, folks. Actually, on my other screen, so I'm working from both my home office and then the office here at CTU in Syosset, New York. On the MEDS trade, I had a line at 665. I was waiting for it to kind of pierce that price, but actually with it making this big of a shake back down right now, well, look at what it's doing. It's beginning to actually push a little bit lower towards 650, and we'll hope to see support hold at 650. My gripe on this trade and the trade I'm going to show, next, it's actually the GTEC trade. That was actually our biggest mover across the day. Both of those trades, MEDS here and GTEC coming up, both of those trades were trading too much volume in pre-market. They were very low float stocks that ended up pumping up early within the pre-market. So typically after the market opens up, you're expected to see that type of drop-off. Now, that happened to Meds, and that did happen to GTEC at least prior to 9:30. But oh my goodness, this ended up going up so much more compared to where I thought it would run up to. I stayed away from this right away at 9:30 because, again, much like Meds, it already pumped and dumped. So best case scenario that I thought after 9:30, I thought it would make a small jump back up, but then pull back down, either dump back down completely or just exhaust itself. So the news on the GTEC trade really quickly, I just posted in the chat board. Greenland Technologies to offer integrated electric drivetrain for electric forklifts. So very similar to my joke just the other week. Anytime you hear the phrase electric vehicle, EV, or electric drivetrain, whatever, you would expect to see a big pump up. But man, this ended up going much further compared to where I thought it would run up to. So I thought it would top off around 5, the most or the highest, or if not that, here at 475. Ended up holding there for a bit, but just once it exploded from 475, all bets were off. So as you could see, ended up running all the way up towards just about 10, the decade number, whole number resistance off 10, but the wheels fell off. So ended up diving right back down. It's kind of holding over 5 for right now, this trade. But again, the gripe on these stocks is that it's trading too much volume at this time in the afternoon. So let me see if I could do a quick scan here. I'll show you the float. So Meds is working today on a 3.1 million share float, and that stock was trading, just get that for you here. Stock was trading 26 plus million shares. Well, GTEC, it's on a 1.18 million share float, and it's trading 5 times that volume that Meds is trading. So I mean, we have to pick and choose, right? I'm not expecting this stock to continue to run up. Maybe to keep an eye on it, like the APVO, like in the after hours, if it makes some sort of wacky after hours pop, We've seen a stock like APVO take off, and actually right now it's moving up, right? So I guess that's convenient timing that the APVO here at the high of the day off 40. But as you can see on the daily chart from last week, we did not expect this move. And actually, pretty much during this exact afternoon meeting on APVO, day over day, it made this pop at 2:30. But then in the after hours, look what happened back on Friday heading into the weekend. Obviously, the big gap over the weekend. Well, that's when it ended up taking off all the way up towards $80. The stock hit a high, after hours high Friday of 80. So it's not for us to tell you to swing trade these, but it's to say that GTEC trade certainly is not going to pop heading into the afternoon today. There's a very strong chance that it will not, at least. I don't want to toss the G word out there as in guarantee, but nonetheless, maybe keep an eye on it perhaps in the after hours or come early pre-market tomorrow just to see. But again, I mean, I have a line at 475 on this one as well. So I was hoping to see this pull back down to 475 heading into the afternoon. It's so far bounced off of 5. I wouldn't be surprised if it pulls back down to 475 by end of the day first. All right, so what we'll do is kind of just skip over those for the meantime. If they end up making some sort of wacky pop during the meeting, then I'll maybe check back with it at the end. But what we'll do is go from top to bottom, at least right now. We covered the GTEC trade. We covered meds. There are 2 others that I have that, for news, at least. And I'll post those in just a moment. So to start, WISA here, WISA, whatever, ended up popping and dropping early pre-market. Same thing, ended up dumping off after the open. Then from there, it ended up making a nice squeeze. But hey, pushed up a little bit higher heading into the early afternoon, the late morning, actually. Not really expecting a whole lot on this one as well. Again, look at the float, 6.3 million share float on WISA still. All right, so I have news here at least on Revlon, REV. So I'm going to at least show what I have here. I think it's in relation to, I gotta double check. They have a $90 million in bonds deadline. This is news from 5:18 Eastern time, but it was halted at that point, I believe. The REV trade ended up making news coming out, or news ended up coming out at 5:18 this morning. John says refinancing their debt. So the official headline that I have here, I'll copy and paste on the YouTube stream. Revlon can't locate holders of $90 million in bonds as November 16th default deadline approaches. So John wrote here just in the chat board before, they're refinancing their debt. So ultimately, they exploded heading into the early afternoon. Caught me by surprise, all of us by surprise. By the time we called the stock out, it was roughly around like 10.15, 10.20 in price. So it already jumped up quite a bit. So a little late to the party, ended up pumping up towards a high of 1340, but obviously making the same move here that I would have expected from GTEC, meds, etc. All right, so final news snippet I have here, it's on Inovio, INO, a stock that a lot of us here are pretty familiar with. So very quickly, INO, they were earnings based, so they posted earnings yesterday afternoon. It looks like better than expected Q3 sales results and Q3 EPS compared to the estimates. All right, so there's my news for the day at least. But INO ended up making a nice steady push. Wow. So we actually called this out throughout the day, but more recently off the 11 breakout. I'll draw a line off 11. It ended up popping and dropping the first time off 11 as expected. From there, though, on the re-break, ended up making a nice jump up higher. One of our students, Chuck, that is, Chuck C, ended up picking up just about 21 cents on his trade just before. Yeah, I mean, looking good. I like this stock. It's a stock that we're all very familiar with. Now, the news out this morning, I think, who is it, Kaplan or whoever from the Fed, they said that most likely there is going to be social distancing throughout the entire 2021 calendar year. That was like the news headline that came out early this morning. That led to the market dropping off. And with that, a lot of these COVID stocks ended up making a push. Now, with the earnings, we ended up seeing INO get a nice boost. So I will say there are other stocks like INO that ended up running up. Look at VXRT. Creeping up towards the high, still up 12+%. Seems like a nice level 1 to 2 stock. CODX pumped up early this morning, flattened out though, at least here. We're not going to trade it right now. Sorrento, SRNE, this one I know hasn't been as good. They kind of called this the Pinocchio, if I'm not mistaken, of vaccines at least, but ended up diving off early this morning, making a nice recovery at least for right now. So all in all, I'm going to keep the vaccine stocks kind of on the side list heading into the afternoon. The INO trade, though, definitely going to feature. Put this on our main, watch list for right now. All right, folks, let's see what else we have out there. The ZSAN trade, this ended up making a nice pop earlier, but I would expect, as I see on the 5-minute chart, yep, dump back down. All right, we'll kind of just skim through the APVO. Obviously, it's up big, at the highs right now off of 40. Just big spread. I'm not a fan of this, right? I like the chart pattern. I like the double top. It's at a major level. I like all of that. I don't like the level 3. So I would love to see if there's stocks that just offer more liquidity to give us a better idea as far as where we could find the next level, how we could, better manage these trades. With stocks that have that thin of an order book, it makes it that much more difficult. ALT, if I'm not mistaken, is another vaccine or corona stock that we traded back in March and April and May. Check through maybe a couple more. APT is also one, I think, too. This one's shortable. This one's down big. Not down big, down 2+%. It's at the lows, though, which I do like. It was down big yesterday, at least. So maybe I'll check in with this at the end. I'll come back to this. Perhaps APT. Just stumbled upon this. OPK, that's right. OPCO, another corona or vaccine-related stock. So I don't think there was earnings out on this. Yeah, it just says here from 10:30 on Benzinga Pro, OPK trading higher. This stock dipped in Monday with other COVID-19 testing names following a positive vaccine news and appears to be rebounding following the dip. That's all. But hey, ended up making a big push earlier this morning. I just feel like it's pretty flat right now, but still could be a good stock to keep in mind for the rest of the week. Keep it on your radar, on your side list. All right, let's see. Anything else out here that rings a bell? We got Core and Bohr right next to each other. I don't know what the deal with that is, but you have CORR, then BORR right next to each other. At least they just were. Bohr from yesterday, right? Just wanted to look at this cheapie that ran up yesterday during this meeting. I mean, it's not doing anything now. Go here seems to still have a little movement. Volume kind of died off a bit, though. And the VSTM, familiar name to me at least, just a little pop here heading into the afternoon. I'm checking with it at the end. Pretty slow, but I like the afternoon run here, at least on this one. All right, let's hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better. Hopefully better. We've only had 2 stocks on our main list so far, or at least I think just one. ACB still getting clobbered. I don't think my friend's too happy with me. It's not my fault, but hey, he jumped into Tilray yesterday off of, I think, like 1060 it was. I said to at least look for 10, and then the earnings came out last night. So they ended up actually beating the EPS. Their earnings beat the estimates at least. And then from there, their sales missed. So with that, and then along with that, I mean, it was just really the whole sector. MJ, the pot stock ETF, or the pot sector ETF, it's down 5+% right now, so everything's down. So I'm sure the pot stocks will, bounce back. I'm very bullish on them long term. I'm not in a swing trade like I am with RIOT, the blockchain related stock. So I just wanted to be transparent with that. But my general consensus, my general thought at least, is that we'll see, a bounce back up on MJ soon enough. BTU not doing much there. Kind of a mixed bag here. This VYGR right now, it's at the lows, just very flat. Really, really quickly, folks, I just want to jump out and say, there was a stock yesterday that was one of our better movers in the afternoon, and it was right on this losers list. We put it on our main watch list. It was TWOU. You saw me put this on the list yesterday, and I was saying to look for a potential breakdown below the low of the day. It ended up diving off pretty nicely going into the final hour. So typically, if we see a stock near the lows, at the lows, if it's shortable, it could be a good opportunity, just like TWOU was yesterday. There's my Tilray. This thing is down at 839 now. I hope my friend got out. But otherwise, long term, I'm sure that all of these will bounce back at some point, hopefully soon. Beyond Meat, wow, one of the funkier charts that I've ever seen. I actually took a picture of this when I saw it last night. I came back to my desk and I ended up taking a picture, sent it to Fausto. It's like, oh my, did you see this? So the news out on Beyond Meat yesterday, it had to do with like McDonald's, some partnership, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to jump back on Benzinga Pro, but I think somebody leaked it. So, with that, they had their earnings yesterday afternoon. So why come out with that news then smack in the middle of the day if you're having earnings coming out right away after the bell? So I don't know if that was intentional, if that was meant so people can cover shorts or rather take profits on the long and then from there maybe go short, but ended up pumping, completely dumping. And at least for right now, it made a pretty strong squeeze, at least heading into the afternoon. Pretty expensive stock. So, you know who you are if you're looking to follow this stock right now. We'll see if there's anything cheaper. WTRH, pretty cheap, but not doing a whole lot. Wow, look at this. Holy smokes. Is CCL shortable? When was CCL shortable today? It was hard to borrow all throughout the morning. Are you kidding me, Pat? He says yes. I mean, I see it right there. It doesn't say hard to borrow next to it, but I'm stunned. For how long, folks, have we had CCL hard to borrow? I've always said NCLH is your one, then otherwise there's a Carnival spinoff stock called CUK. Same company, just making the same move. This one shortable when CCL wasn't, but wow, pretty interesting. Now, CCL is trading 105 million shares. NCLH is coming off bad earnings from yesterday, ended up dropping off actually prior to the market opening, got killed, and then from there dropped off a little bit more. I might just slip cruise lines altogether on the main watch list heading into the afternoon. My only thing is that they might just be pretty exhausted at this point, but the fact that CCL is shortable, that I love that now. This is cheaper than NCLH. There's more volume on the book for CCL. If both were shortable, I would have picked CCL from the start, but it never was. So we'll see if it remains shortable. How about that? Come tomorrow morning. If it's shortable, then I'll be all over it. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, speaking of shorts, probably my best trade of the day, JMIA. Now, really quick from last week, just to give you a quick recap, I think it was Citron Research going back into October 23rd that said that JMIA could be a $100 stock. So you've heard me say this. I'm not sipping the Kool-Aid to believe that JMIA is going to be a $100 stock, but when you have a very well-known firm come out with a report for a $15 to $16 stock saying it could be well more than 5 to 8 times worth what it's priced at now, why not think that it can continue to run up? So it ended up pushing up pretty nicely heading into last week, the end of last week. I was hopeful. I got out on this trade as a swing on Friday at some point. I ended up taking break even on the swing, did well on the day trade side of it, but dived off yesterday, dived off. It was shortable yesterday, great short. And then with earnings today, right? This morning ended up posting earnings, got crushed going into the market open. It ended up dropping off from 13, bounced from 12. Now, my short came in on this. I got in from 1474. I was looking for an over and under from 15. I was chomping at that. I wanted that so bad. It held 15 like a rock, though. Ended up, I could have done really well on that from 15 anyway. But once it broke below 1480, I shorted. From there, I got out at 1392 here. Still slipping, but for right now, I mean, JMIA, I don't really mind just putting this on our main watch list at this point. I think we only have I&O at this point. All right, so at least we'll see if there's more action on JMIA at least heading into the afternoon. We'll see if it could break below 1350 support. All right, so CCL we got, JMIA. I want to look at PLTR. PLTR, we ended up doing well on earlier today, too. It's not down as much, but we were watching this during our at least we had this in mind from this morning. We went over this trade, actually, during the Traders Talk workshop. Goes to show, look what ended up holding as resistance, folks. I don't know if you folks recall this from Traders Talk for those of us that were with me earlier in the morning, but we ended up finding smart money. It was like a 60,000 share print filled at 1425. Well, look what held the whole day. So PLTR dropped off as soon as the market opened. It was a great short from 15, great short from 1450, dropped all the way down to 13. So we'll keep this in mind for the rest of the week, as we've said. A great sideless stock, just given the liquidity. And if it remains shortable, at least it would be a great trade both ways, long or short. But yeah, right now, pretty flat. All right, John here in the chat board. I see it on the gainer side, actually. I may have skipped over it, but John pointing out TLGT. It's a cheapie. It's breaking a new high right now. So the fact that it's at the highs right now, John, I like, and we have a actually pretty slim list here to start. So I will put this TLGT on our main list. Hopefully, I'm hopeful, right, that this could squeak up another. I'll give it like 7 cents. If this can get up to 80, God bless. If this can get up to $1, then dinner's on me tonight. All right, so at least for right now, I'll put this on our list. Just know your worth with a cheap stock like this, though. It's not like an official penny stock. It's not a bulletin board pink sheet stock. It's under the NASDAQ, but it's below $1, obviously. All right. Norman says, by the way, I have to give Norman a big shout out. Norman, he wrote to me just before, between today and yesterday, it's his best 2-day streak back to back with CTU. So I want to give Norman a big shout out there. Norman just wrote to us in the chat board, PFE was a good short too. Certainly looks like it. Certainly looks like it, Norman. I'm sure that you did well on this, one of your many good trades from today. Wow. Nice drop off from roughly 39.75 down to just about 38.50. Right. Right now, though, just pretty flat. So I'm going to pass on this for the afternoon. But congrats, Norman. And hey, definitely great stock to keep in mind with the news out from over the weekend into yesterday morning and obviously today. All righty. Sounds good, folks. If there's anything else, though, in the chat boards, just let me know. I think I covered everything. I'm going to take a look at Benzinga Pro, my signals page here, see if there's anything I'm missing. I got one, but I don't know how good it looks. Let's just say it might be total crap. Let's find out. It's like a mix of crap and good. Really, honestly. I mean, I love the trend, a very spotty chart up until the last pop. I'm not as keen to put this on our list, although I do love the fact it's inexpensive. The spreads are actually tight. I guess we'll tag this on at the end, but watch 650. We need to see if 650 pops for it to make a very clean breakout from there. If this pops over 650 and starts dudding out, it's just not worth it. I would get out and try and reset up another trade after. All right, we will jump back to VSTM. I will jump back to the pot stocks, and if there's anything else, again, just let me know. This one's just super slow. Too much volume on the book for it to cut through, I think. I think after that first pop, the volume died off. And then, yeah, we'll jump back to the pot stocks, Terrence. ACB not doing a whole lot, though, just yet. For as much as it dropped, right, the stock went from, what, like 14.50 all the way down to low of the day today, between yesterday's high to now. When's it going to bounce? I mean, I love that question. I'm asking that question right now, Terrence, but I feel as if it's going to continue to drop off later on today. Now, tomorrow, hopefully, we'll see a nice breakout, more buying coming in early in pre-market. That could dictate a nice move for once the market does open up. So we'll see what happens then. Check in on my RIOT. Just it's not an afternoon trade. We know that. Just at 346 right now. Chuck saying Sorrento, dark horse pick. He has resistance at 6. Yeah, I love the trend. So if I put I&O on the list, how could I not put Sorrento? Trading about 26,000 shares per minute right now. It's on a great trend, good liquidity. So I will slip this on our list too there, Chuck. Good call. You sold me. Now, if it doesn't go up to 6, Chuck, I'm going to blame you, right? No, I'm just kidding. All right. So, guys, I think that's it, though. Chuck says he's in from 573, so he's up 5 cents so far. Nice job, Chuck, and let's keep it going. So I think that's just about it, though. We have a very slim list. Actually, I'll say this here because I've said heading into the end of this meeting at times when we've had a good list, I've said, well, we should have a really exciting close. I find it funny when we have a good list. Well, a lot of times we do have a good close, but it's not always the case. And more so, it's funny because on the other side of things, when we have a pretty weak list or a very slim list, there'll be something that pops around 3:15, 3:30, and then we'll have a very good afternoon. Bonnie at the buzzer here saying ALT moving. Yeah, it is moving up a little bit. I did say to maybe keep this in mind, but for right now, I'm going to pass on this, Bonnie. I like the Sorrento a bit better. I like the I&O better as far as those vaccine stocks. And then Tony, last one, and this one's at the buzzer here. ONCT. Now, this has more life to it, it looks like. This has more life to it. Now, the question is it going to pop and then drop and tank? Or is it going to, eventually find support, then make a quick burst up to 6 here coming up? So, The ONCT trade is trading a bit more volume across the day. The volume that just came in, I do like a bit more. So this one I'll slip on our list here too, Tony. All right. All right. So we're hopeful. That's all, right? That's all we could ask for. So for right now, folks, any one of us tuning on social media, the Facebook stream, YouTube stream, just make sure that you guys follow the banner there. Feel free to join us weekdays, Monday to Friday. Just make sure that you guys go to the link right there, cybertradinguniversity.com/trial to sign up today. Otherwise, for all of us inside the trading room, give me a quick second. I'm going to copy and paste the picks. And then aside from that, I'm going to jump back on the mic in just about 10 or so minutes from now. All right. Take care.